struggling as we all do with her non-peaceful impulses, and then working through the classroom, through teaching inner city kids, and now through helping women who are out of the workforce, who want to get back in, helping them in a diligent and compassionate way to fulfill their potential. This has just been part of who she is.
She's a retired school teacher.
She's a retired school teacher, but she still does all kinds of, she taught in the district for over 30 years, and she taught overseas in Africa and in Thailand and in Iran. She was there for several years teaching. So teaching is part of who she is, and now she feels that the way to teach is to, as she says, show and tell. That actions are now what are needed rather than words.
She's doing it by way of example then.
She's doing it by way of example as a teacher.
Reverend Yearwood. Reverend,
yes.
Can I ask a question? Why do you feel this is such a defining, this particular incident is so defining?
Well, it's a period. Obviously, you have to go back. I've been there at several demonstrations with Eve, and also been there with Eve. So to see her marching side by side, obviously, and you see her sister Eve is a lot like her sister. So you can imagine marching. And I thought Eve was actually young. I thought she was actually a little young. I know she was in her 70s, but I didn't know she was actually close to her 80s. And then to see her get arrested. And then when she had received a stay away order, just to see her, for me, to see her literally go in and demand, go in. I remember I was with her today when she went in, and when she got inside, she was arrested. And then to see her then go within sackcloth, constantly being that conscience, constantly being that voice in a very simple way, then going from the White House in sackcloth. All those things to me, I just would figure that at some point in time, they would kind of like, I don't want to say that'd be hard, but it's almost like when I see the woman of Code Pink. It's something about, to me, the most powerful people in the movement right now have become the women. And in that, in that process, to see them standing up obviously gives me this encouragement. But it's something just natural to see a woman standing up, speaking truth to power. And then to see a woman who's 76 speaking up. There's something about that as a man, as a former, as me and Adam, both being in the military, being somewhat kind of big guys in some cases, to see that kind of image, not frail at all, but powerful, that to me. And then to see this system, instead of using that as an example, say, hey, we need to, something is wrong here. When the mothers are speaking out, when the women are speaking out, when grandmothers, when school teachers are speaking out, then maybe we're not doing something correct. But when we begin to arrest them and prosecute them and put them in the jails, and then for her to make the comments like, I will go with my sisters in the jails, in arms, and organizing the jails, it's an amazing thing. So for us as a peace movement, going into our 5th year, and with Iran, I think if we are not willing to face the same price as she is willing to face, if we are not willing to be at this moment as well, to face 1 month or 5 months or whatever, then this is a defining moment for our movement, even more so than for those who want to put forth wars. If our movement is not willing to lay it all on the line, if our movement is not willing to share resources, if our movement is not willing to come together as organizations, if our movement is not willing to put it all on the line as a 76-year-old woman, then our movement is lost. That's why I'm not saying that's a defining moment for this war, but a defining moment for our movement. That we can't lead by example, which she is, if we can't see the example she's setting, then we're in trouble.
I just wanted to ask, if she does serve jail time, how will you respond? Do you have plans?
We'll join her.
Yeah, I think that, there are many people here in this crowd and many people across the United States are facing similar charges that Eve is facing. People who have resisted and who nonviolently and for their resistance have been arrested and are facing possible jail time. And we will be there for everyone who does go to jail. we will be able to see them, we will be able to write about them, we will be able to send their stories, and as Reverend Yearwood would say, inspire the rest of America that this is an urgent time that requires urgent action. We have a Congress that was elected and that took over leadership in January of 2007 to end this war, to change the reckless policies that Bush is implementing in the Middle East. And they are not doing it. They are not stepping up with the courage that Eve Tetaz has stepped up with and continues to step up with today. So we are going to try to continue to stop the funding of this war and to change course in Iraq. But as Reverend Yearwood and the rest of the folks here believe, it is going to take more than simple marches in the street. It's going to take more than op-eds. It's going to take more than letters to our representatives. It's going to take us to be organized and to stop them from doing their business of death as usual.
About this moment, as it is with Eve today and her going through this process, the significance for me is that in contrast to, a young punk getting arrested just for the sake of being in the streets, or a pissed off vet even getting arrested protesting, the significance here is something else on a higher level. When a 76-year-old woman is willing to take the uncompromising stand on principle that she has and face all the consequences that she has, she sets an example for everyone else. No one else has an excuse after this.
And I wanted to say real quickly, I was with Eve this morning, and she wants to go forward at this point. She does not want a jury. She wants to plead nolo contendere. And the reason why is to do her time in jail, to accept full responsibility, and then to get back out on the streets and continue doing what she has done over and over and over again. And one of the actions where she did violate a stay-away order was she was intending to meet with Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton in the Senate Hart building, and she had a letter for Senator Clinton. And in Eve's sentencing statement today, she's going to read part of that letter. But she also told me a quote as to why she wrote down what she wanted me to say to the press, and why she continues to do what she does, to speak truth to power. She said, "I will continue to try to do the work of the prophet Micah, do justice, love mercy, and work humbly with my God." Those are the words from Eve Tetaz this morning.
And can I just add one piece to that? I think for a movement, I believe that obviously names are critical. And from a spiritual sense, adding on that, the symbolic names in the Bible would be that Eve is the beginning of civilization as a symbolic sense. And this, the Hebrew meaning of that, obviously Adam means humanity and Eve means this birth. And so obviously they understood the symbolism of the name. So wouldn't it be ironic that we are arresting humanity? We are arresting the birth of people. We are literally putting humanity, the mother, the womb in which we proceed, on trial. And what happens when the mother, that the symbolism of that is now arrested? And so now if Eve is put on trial, and if Eve is arrested, and if Eve is convicted, then humanity as well faces that same indictment.
I have a follow-up question for you. You mentioned that people are facing similar charges. Do you have any idea as to...
Well, before the war even started, thousands, I don't even have the figure, but thousands and thousands of people were arrested. Were arrested for their protests against the war. Code Pink alone today has had easily 100 people detained, questioned, charged, facing pending trials from activities protesting the war.
And barred from
Congress.
Canada.
And turned away from Canada because with charges you're put on an FBI list that's shared with other governments. So, easily 100 women are facing either the memory of being stopped from doing what they considered to be their citizen duty to speak out, or who have been actually charged